Hey, welcome to World Entertainment. And The Lord of the Rings, arguably one of, if not the greatest franchise of all time. One of, if not the greatest film trilogies of all time. And of course, we now have the information that there are new movies coming. Now we have some very bad news. The news about The Hunt for Gollum wasn't exactly received all that super well, being the fact that it was a whole story based on one paragraph, maybe two paragraphs from the book. Now we have news that there's another movie in the works that will be a sequel to The Return of the King. That's right, it's going to take place after the events of those three movies, aka them three books. And the biggest problem with this isn't just that, well, the story is finished and there really is nowhere to go after that story. It's who's actually co-writing the story, because it's none other than Stephen Colbert, of all people. Now, it's bad enough that this dude has just become an insufferable twat on his show, so much so that they've cancelled his show, which has made him double down on being a massive twat. He is, of course, a voice of one of the computers in Starfleet Academy who keeps making all the weird jokes. And it's like, oh god. And now his next move will be to co-write a brand new Lord of the Rings movie. Yeah. Now, we know when David Zaslav and Discovery purchased Warner Brothers, one of the first things they did announce was the plans to make more Lord of the Rings movies and shows and stuff. And of course, The Hunt for Gollum was the first thing announced. And people were like, that's a really strange choice. But now being told that they're going to make a sequel to Return of the King is just going to make people really question this. And then, of course, with Colbert involved. So let's have a look at an article talking about this. So after months of speculation, Stephen Colbert has revealed his next move. The soon-to-be former Late Show host announced that he is writing a new Lord of the Rings movie for Warner Brothers. Once a return to Middle-earth might have inspired excitement, or at least curiosity, now the news has sparked concern among fans. Colbert, who started in comedy, has spent recent years pivoting into what some see as the voice of social commentary. Some are already wondering how much of that perspective will influence his take on Tolkien's world. And keep in mind, guys, this is the dipshit who did, well, this.
The vaccine.
Oh yes, everybody is going to remember the old vaccine song. So Warner Brothers shared the announcement for The Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past on social media Tuesday night. The accompanying video featured Lord of the Rings director Peter Jackson opening with an update on Andy Serkis's The Hunt for Gollum. Some fans have expressed skepticism about that project, which reportedly covers only a brief section of Tolkien's original text. This is what Jackson said now. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film. After teasing a new Lord of the Rings project with a very special partner, Jackson introduced Colbert, a self-described Tolkien fan. Colbert detailed his approach to the story, where he said, "You know what the books mean to me, and what your films mean to me. But the thing I find myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in The Fellowship of the Rings that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter 3 is company, through Fog on the Barrow-downs. And I thought, oh wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. That idea appears to have taken root, and the late night host continues to explore the concept." So the first thing you're hearing here before we go on with the article is he's talking about the early parts of the first book, and yet this movie will have nothing really to do with those books because it's going to take place after these movies and books. So Colbert explained that he and his son, screenwriter Peter McGee, Which isn't that funny that his son has not taken the name Colbert? Interesting. Worked out a framed device for what became Shadows of the Past. Over the last 2 years, they have collaborated with screenwriter Philippa Boyens and Peter Jackson on developing the script. The film's official logline reads, 14 years after the passing of Frodo, Sam, Merry and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it even began. So right away, we're hearing it looks like we're actually going to be more so following, a girl boss. Shocker, huh? Colbert said the question on his mind during the creative process was, could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? Despite the twice repeated promise to be completely faithful and the involvement of Jackson and Boyens, online backlash has shown little sign of slowing. Because, let's put it this way, how could he be faithful to the books when you are now going beyond the books? You're working on a story that doesn't exist. So you're basically saying we can come up with a story that Tolkien never could. Tolkien had the story. The story ended with the defeat of Sauron and the destruction of the ring. Why would you continue? There's nothing left to tell. So the idea that they're going to try and go 14 years later is just stupid in my mind. So Chris Gore Film Threat posted on X, Hollywood has finally found the bottom of the barrel. Which Valiant Renegade noting that Warner Brothers will soon be under new leadership, adding Paramount needs to step in immediately. So that Colbert loves Lord of the Rings is undeniable, but passion does not always equal qualification. If Warner Brothers moves forward with the project, the studio may be taking a significant risk. Colbert's involvement shifts the perception of a project many fans were never asking for. So, what you really do have to keep in mind is, did they make the actual announcement to see what the kind of the backlash would be? Like, are they sitting there going, will there be backlash? Or will people be on board with it and stuff like that? Because Colbert does seem to be a big fan of the book and the property and stuff. And of course that hasn't worked. The fans are going, you gotta be shitting me. Number one, why would you try and make a sequel to the trilogy? And number two, why in Christ's name would you bring a late night host to write the bloody thing for you? One who was hated so much his show flopped and had to be cancelled. One who pushed vaccines and all this stuff on the country. One who just goes out of his way to push his political views, time in, time out, all this stuff, which also contributed to his downfall at his show and had it cancelled. And you're gonna have him co-write a follow-on story to Tolkien's work. It's a stupid idea. And quite frankly, how they're not even looking at the absolute uninterest that has now come for the whole thing of the hunt for Gollum. The fact that people are looking at that and there's no excitement for it. People are questioning, like, why in God's name are you making that? Especially then when you see they're bringing back Ian McKellen, they're bringing back Elijah Wood, all of these guys they're bringing back, but they're going to recast Aragorn? It's like, why would you do that? And now we're being told we're going to come up with a story that Tolkien never could, that's going to take place 14 years after the events of Return of the King. And we're going to, what? We're going to have Merry, Pippin and Sam retrace their steps for their event. Why? Why would they want to retrace their steps? Hey, let's start walking back to Mordor. Oh, look, this is where we almost died. This is where some of us did die. That's where some of us got into even more trouble. That's where we got separated. That's where that's happened, blah, blah, blah. Like, why? The three people who never even wanted to leave the Shire in the first place, and now they're going to willingly go off on this adventure to retrace their steps? It's just so stupid. Personally, I don't see this movie happening. I actually don't see it happening because, yeah, Warner Brothers is announcing Could Paramount step in and go, yeah, you aren't doing this. No, we're in control now. Yeah, not happening. Hopefully it doesn't happen, because number one, even if it wasn't Stephen Colbert writing it, even if it was Peter Jackson just coming out and saying this, we're making this movie, I would be saying that's a stupid idea. And it absolutely is a stupid idea. This is just a way of trying to maintain the rights. That's all this is. So let me know what you guys think. Again, don't just take the fact that Colbert's writing it, which I do want to absolutely know your views on that, but the fact that it is a follow-on story from the main trilogy. Let me know what you think. And are you even interested in seeing it? Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.